Hi guys, this is Kushab, and in this video we are going to discuss a problem in which we have to generate all the possible binary string of length n using recursion. So let's get started. So we have to generate all the binary string of n width. So let's take the length of the string is 3, and let our string is the and our string equals to x. Now, how many binary strings of length 3 are possible? Let's see that first. So, at the first position, either we can put 1 or 0, so there are two options. At the second position, we have also two options. At the third position, we have also two options. So, there are total 2 to the power e is equals to 8. So eight there are total 8 binary strings of length 3 are possible. Now let's see that how we are going to generate. So initially our string is xxx. Now at the first position we can write either 1 or 0. So let's write 1 x, and at the first position we can also write 0 xx. Now in this string, at the second position, we can also write 1 or 0. So let's write 1 and let's write 0. Now here also at the second position, we can write either 1 or 0. So let's write 1 and let's write 0 at the second position. In this string, at the last position, either we can write 1 or now, in this string, at the last position, either we can write 1 or 0. So let's write 1 and let's write 0 here. Now in this string also, at the last position, we can write either 1 or 0. Let's write 1, 0. Now in this string also, we can write 1 or 0 at the last position. Let's write 1, let's write 0 here. Same thing we are going to do here also. Okay, so now we got all the 8 string of length 3. So which is 111, 110, 101, 100, 011, 010. So these are the all the 8 binary strings of length 3. Now let's see how we are going to do. We have seen that how many binary strings of length n are possible, and we have seen what are the all the possible binary strings. Now this is the code, and this code will basically generate all the binary string of length n. Now let's see this code. So here, so this code we have made a function called binary, which is taking the length of the string as parameter, and this is the first condition. Here it will check the length of the string. If the length of the string is less than 1, we are going to print the string. Otherwise, it is going to change the last character of the string to 0. Then it is again going to call the binary function, and it will pass the length. So it will again going to call the binary function, and it will pass the length of the string as n minus 1. So if the length of the string is 3, so we are going to pass b binary 2, and this function is going to do these the same stuff. And after that, we are changing the last character of the binary string to 1. Then we are again going to call this binary. Now let us see with an example how we can generate all the possible binary string of length n. Now let's consider an example. So in this example, I am taking our string s, and our string is this one, xxx, and its length is 3. Now this is a string containing character x. Now we have to generate all the possible binary string of 3 lengths. Now let's see this, how this code is going to work. Now when the first time this binary function is called, we are going to pass the length of the string b. So this is our string, and this is its length. We are going to pass the length of the string when this binary function is called first time, and our string at this point is xxx. Right. Now when we call this binary function, in this if condition, it is going to check the length of the binary string. Now at this point, the length of the binary string is 3. Now here we are going to check the length of the binary string. Now 3 is not less than 1, so this condition is not true. So this part of code will not execute, and so this part of the code will execute, and here it is changing the last character of the string to 0. Now this is our string xxx, and this is the last character of the string. This is the our string of length 3, and this is the last character of the string. So we are going to change this last character of the string to 0. So at this point, our string is going to be this one, xxx0. After this step, it is going to call again this binary function, and it will pass the length of the binary string as 2. So now this function is called, and the length of the string is passed as 2. And this is our string at this point. Now after calling this binary function, at this point the length of the string is 2, and this condition is not true. Yeah, it will change the last character of the string. So our string is this one, xxx0, and it is of length 2. So our string is this much. This is our string xx, and here we are changing the last character of the string. So this one is the last character of the string, and we are going to change the last character of the string to 0. So the last character of this string, after changing the last character of this string, the string will become x00. Now when the n was 2 and this step is also done, it is going to call this binary function and it will pass the length of the string as n minus 1, which is 2 minus 1, which is 1. So we are again going to call this binary function and we will pass the length as 1. At this point our string is x00. Now when the value of n is 1, it is going to check this condition. This is false, so it will change the last character of the string to 0. So our string is x00, but at this point the value of n is 1, so our string is this much. Now in this the last character is this only, so we are going to change the last character of the string to 0, so our string will become 000. So this will be our string. After this step is being done, and when the length of the string was 1, it is again going to call this binary function and it will pass the length of the string as 0, that is 1 minus 1. So we will call this binary function. We are going to call this binary function. We will pass the length of the string as 0, and currently our string is 000. Now when this function is called, the value of n is 0, so this condition is true. So at this point we are going to print our string 000. Now after this we are not calling the binary function again. So after this we are just returning from here. We return from here. So after printing the string, we are going to return from here, right? And we will reach at this function when the length of the binary string was 1. Now when the length of the binary string was 1, so when the n value was 1, and this we were done with this one, and we are also done with this one, which is we called this binary n minus 1, that is binary 0, and this thing printed our string and it just returned from there. So this part is also done. Then we again change the last character of the binary string. Now this time we change this last character of our binary string of length 1 to 1. Okay, so this was our string, and here the length of the string is 1, and we are done with this one and this one also. Now this when the length of the string is 1, which is this string, now we are changing the last character of the string, which is 0, to 1, so our string will become 100. So we are going to change our string to last character of the string of length 1 to 1. After this, we are again going to call this binary function, and we will pass the binary. We call the binary function and we will pass the length as 1 minus. So at this point we are calling this function. So at this point the length of the binary string was 1, so we are going to pass the 1 minus 1, which is 0. So let's call this function. So let's call this function binary 0. At this point the string is 100. When this function is called, in this condition we are going to check. So At this point, the value of n is 0. So this condition is true. So we are going to print this string. So we are going to print this string 1, 0, 0. After printing, we are going to return because this we are not again going to call this binary function. This is our base case. So we are going to return from here and we will reach again from where we have called this function binary 0. So when the length of the string was 1, from here we have called our binary function for our binary 0. So when the length of the string was 1, we have called this our binary function. Now this function had just printed the binary string here. Now it after printing, it is simply after doing its work, we are again going to move to next step, and here we don't have anything to do. So we are also going to return from here, that is so we are also going to return from here, that is from 1 when the length of the binary string was 1. So we are again going to return here. Okay, now at this point, so we are at this function, and our length of the binary string is 2, and we have changed the last character of the binary string, which is this one, to 0. So this part is done, and we also called the binary function binary 1. And this function, after calling this function also has done its part. Then we are again going to change the last character of the binary string to 1. So this is our binary string x00, which is this one, and its length is 2, so this much of the string, and its last character, that which is 0, we're going to change it to 1. So a string will become 1 x10. So our string is going to become x10 now. So the string will become x10. Now after changing the string, we are again going to call this binary function, and at this point length of the string was 2. So we are going to call this binary 1. So let's call this binary 1, and this is our string. When this function is called, the value of n is 1 and this condition is false, we are going to change the last character of the binary string to 0. So our string is this one and its length is 1, and so last character is this only. So we are going to change this to 0. So we are going to change the last character of the binary string to 0. So this will be our new string. And after this thing is done, we are again going to call this function binary. And at this point, our length of the string is 1. So we are again going to call this binary 1 minus 1, that is 0. So we are going to call binary 0. Our string at this point is 0, 1, 0. At this point, length of the string is 0. So this condition is true. We are going to print this string. So this string is going to be printed. After this, it will return. So when the length of the string was 1, which is this part, we have called this binary n minus 1, and this thing just, so we were done with this one, and we have called this one, and this also printed the binary string. So we have called the binary 0, and this also printed the binary string. So we are also done with this one. Then we are going to change the last character of the binary string to 1. So this is our binary string 0 1 0, and its length is 1. So this is our string, and we are going to change the last character of the string to 1. So we are going to change the 0 to 1. So its new string will become 10110. So this is going to be our new string. Now after changing it to 1, we are again going to call the binary function. So binary, we are at this step, right? Now we are again going to call the binary 1 minus 1, that is 0, because at this point our length of the binary string was 1. So we are again going to call this binary 0. So again going to call the binary 0, and this is our string at this point. Now when the length of the string is 0, we're going to just print the string and we are going to return. So we are going to return from here. So we will reach at this step, because from this because here from here we were calling this one. So this function was printing our string. So after doing its work, we are done with this function. So after this, we don't have anything to do. So we are also going to return from here also. So when the length of the string was 1, so we are also going to return from here also, right? So when the length of the binary string was 2, and we were done with this one, and this was also done because we called this binary function and it has also completed its work. So after this, so this is also done. So this binary 2 is also going to return. So this binary 2 is also going to return. So when the length of the string was 3, and we changed the last character of the string to 0, and we were done with this one, that is binary of 2. So this we were done with this one. Now we are again going to change the last character of the binary string. So our string is x0, and its length is 3. So this is our string, and its last character is 0. So we are going to change the last character of the string to 1. So a new string will become xx1. After changing the last character of the string, we are again going to call this binary, and this 3 was the length of the string, so we are going to call the binary 2. So we are going to call the binary 2, and this is our string at this point. Now when this function is called, when the length of the string was 2, so this part will not execute, and here we are going to change the last character of the string to 0. So this is the our string when the length of the string was 2. So this is our string, and at this point we are changing the last character of the string, that which is x, to 0. So this is the last character of the string. We are going to change the last character of the string to 0. So a new string will become x01. So a new string will become x01. Now after changing the last character of this string, we are going to call this binary 2 minus 1, that which is 1. So we are at this step when the length of the binary string was 2, and we have changed the last character of the binary string, and we are again going to call this binary function, and we will pass the length minus 1. So we are again going to call this binary 1 function. So we are going to call this binary 1, and this our string at this point is x01. When this binary 1 is called, this condition is false, So at this point, when the length of so our string is x01 and our actual string is this one. When the length of the string is 1, so our string is this one. Now we are changing the last character of the string to 0, so we are going to change the x to 0. So 0, 0, 1. So our new string will become 001. After this, when the length of the string is 1, and after doing this, we are again going to call this binary, and we are going to call the binary 0 because currently the length of the string is 1, so we are going to call the binary 0. So now let's call the binary 0. Now currently our string is 001. Now when the length of the string is less than 1, so we are going to print the string. So this is our string 001. We are going to print this string. Right, after printing this string, we are not further calling this binary function, so we are going to return from here. So we are going to return from here, and yeah. So after returning from here, we will reach to this function when the length of the string was 1, and we have called this function. We are again going to change the last letter of the binary string to 1. So when the length of the string is 1, and we are done with this one, we are again going to change the last character of the binary string to 1. So this is our string 001, and its length is 1. So this is the last character of the binary string. We are going to change it to 1. So our new string will become 101. So we are going to change the new string to 101. Okay. After changing this, we are again going to call the binary, and currently our length of the string is 1. Okay, so currently our length of the string is 1, so we are going to pass the 1 minus 1, that is 0. So we are again going to call the binary 0. So we are going to call this binary 0, and currently our string is 101. And so when the length of the string is 0, and this condition is true, so we are going to print the string. So we are going to print 101. Okay, now after printing the 101, we are going to return. So it will return and it will reach to this step when the length of the binary string was 1. Now when the length of the binary string was 1, we are done with this one, this one, this one, and we also called this binary 0, which is this one. And after this, we are not further calling any function. So we are also done with this function, which is binary 1. So it is also going to return from here. Okay. Now we are going to reach. So we reach at this step when the length of the binary string was 2, and we are done with this one, and we also are done with this one, that is binary 1. Okay, so we are also done with this one. Now we are again going to change the last letter of the binary string to 1. Now this is our binary string x01, its length is true 2, and the last character is 0, so we are going to change the last character of the binary string to 1. So the new string will become x11. So this is our new string x11. After changing last letter to binary string, we are again going to call this binary function, and at this point, length of the binary string is 2, so we are going to call the binary 1. Now let's call the binary 1. Okay, and currently the length of the so currently our string is x11. Okay, now this function is called when the length of the binary string is 1, and our string is x11. Okay, and we are going to change the last character of the binary string to 0. So x11, our length of the string is 1. So last character of the string is x. So we are going to change the x to 0. So a new string will become x. So the new string will become 011. So Our new string will become 0 and 1. After changing the binary string of length 1, we are again going to call the binary function. We will pass the length of the string minus 1. Uh, so we will call the binary 0. So now let's call the binary 0. So and currently our string is 0 1 1. When the value of n is 0, we are going to print this string. So we are going to print 0 1 1. After printing this string, we are going to return from here, and we will reach at this step when the so we reached at this step when the length of the binary string is 1, and we are done with binary 0. Then we again change the last character of the binary string to 1. So this is our string, and its length is 1, which is this one, and we are going to change the last character of the binary string to 1. So this last character of the binary string is 0, so we are going to change it to 1. So a new string will become 1 1 1 1. So a new string will become 1 1 1. So a new string will become 1 1 1. Okay. Now after changing the last letter of the binary string, we are again going to call these binary functions, that is binary 0. Now let's call this binary function binary 0. And this point of our string is 1 1 1. So the binary string is 0. So we are going to check this condition. So this condition is true. So we are going to print the binary string 1 1 1. Then we are going to return from here, and also we are done with this and this also when the length of the binary string was 1. Then therefore we are also going to return from here, and also we are done with when the with these two things, these two functions, when the length of the binary string was 2. So we are also going to return from here, and also we are done with when the length of the binary string is 3, and we are done with these two functions. So this function will also return. Now in this way we have printed all the 8 possible binary string of length 3. So these are the all the 8 binary strings. That is 000, 100, 010, 110, 001, 101, 011, 111. So this is how we are generating all the possible binary string of length n using recursion. We just simply call the so this is our larger problem was to generate all the possible binary string of length 3. So we can see a subproblem in this, so that's why we have called the binary 2. That is, we can solve this when the length of the binary string is 2. Similarly, when the length of the binary string 2 is 2, we also see a subproblem, that is when the length of the binary string is 1. So how we can generate all possible binary string? So when the length of the string is 1, which is this, so we can either have 1 or 0. So this is our base. So in this case we also change the last character of the binary string. Then we called the base case. So when the length of the string is 0, this is our base case, and we are just printing the last character. We are just printing our string. Okay. Now let's discuss the time complexity of this code. So so time complexity of this code is T of n. Now let's see the time complexity. So when the value of n is 0, so when the value of n is 0, we are just printing the string. So it is taking just O of 1 time. So T of 0 equals to 1. Now this is also taking O of 1 time. Now this binary function, so we are again calling this binary function. So this is taking t of n minus 1, and this taking t of 1. Here also we are calling the binary function, so its time complexity is t of n minus 1. So t of n equals to 1 plus 1 plus t of n minus 1 plus t of n minus 1. We can neglect this to 1 because these are constant. So the time complexity is equal to t of n equals to t of n minus 1, which is equals to t of n equals to 2 times of t of n minus 1. Now from this we can also calculate the t of n minus 1. So t of n minus 1 is equals to 2 times of t of n minus 2, and also we can see t of n minus 2 from this. T of n minus 2 is equal to 2 times of t of n minus 3. Now let's substitute the value of t of n minus 1 from here. From here, let's substitute it to here. So our t will become t of n will become equals to 2 times of 2 times of t of n minus 2. Now let's substitute the value of t of n minus 2 from here. Okay, so our t will become equals to, so our time constancy will become equals to t of n, which is equals to 2 times of 2 times of 2 times of t of n minus 3. Now, when the value of n was 0, so this was our base case. So the time complexity of t of 0 is equals to 1. Okay. Now, let's see this. So t of n is equals to 2 to the power 3 times t of n minus 3. Now let's take this 3 as, so 3 is a variable. Let's take it as k. So time complexity is equals to, so t of n equals to 2 times 2 to the power k. So 2 raised to the power k times t of n minus k. Now when this n minus k will become equals to 0, when the value of n, when the value of k equals to n, then t of n minus k will become equals to t of 0. So let's write the value of k as n. So t of n equals to 2 to the power 2 to the power 2 raised to the power n times t of 0. Now t of 0, t 0 is equals to 1. So time complexity of this code is t is 2 to the power n. So it is big of it is large scale complexity is big of 2 to the power n. Now this is an exponential for time complexity.